Timing, like a good omen to be the Chanel bride, and it was turned out. I remember feeling like shocked at how emotional I felt.
I think Chanel is definitely particularly cinematic. Just the ways even in which the clothes move, the way that they make you feel when you put them on, I think is very, very cinematic.
Hey, say love me, you put me Chanel. Hey, say love me, you put me Chanel.
Take her to Chanel cause she fine. Take her to Chanel cause she fine.
Are you wearing the
Chanel boots? Yeah, I am.
Okay, so the Chanel brand. It's referenced in everything, iconic to say the least. Buckle up, because we have much to discuss. This story involves affairs, canoodling with Nazis, mentions of Marilyn Monroe, Jackie Kennedy, oh my goodness, so much more. So let's just dive in. As always, hello, I'm Dee Dee with another video from my channel, D History, where we dive into pockets of the past to help us understand our present day. If you're not new, thanks for coming back, babe. This is another installment of my little series titled Brand History, where I talk about the dramatic history behind pretty iconic brands that are still around today. So, there's a lot that happened in Coco Chanel's life. So to organize this video, I'm going to start with the life of Coco Chanel the person, and then talk about Chanel's company history. But you'll come to realize that they're pretty interwoven, and whatever happened to Coco directly impacted her company and her brand. But let's get into it. Alright, so let's start with her younger years. So, Coco Chanel was born Gabrielle Chanel on August 19th, 1883 in Saumur, France. She was one of 6 children born to her mother Eugenie and her father Albert. Eugenie was a laundry woman and Albert a street vendor. Her mother unfortunately passed away, and Coco, then Gabrielle, was sent to live in a convent. It was here she actually learned how to sew when the nuns taught her. At age 18, she moved to another convent in Moulins and continued attending school. The year is now 1902, where Gabrielle worked as a seamstress and a cafe singer, surprisingly. Okay, so honestly speaking, she wasn't quite known for her voice as opposed to her charisma. That's what drew people in. The origin of her nickname Coco is not officially known, but it is widely believed it originated from her time singing in the cafe. You'll come to realize Coco's relationships made significant impacts on her life and career. I don't want to get too ahead of myself though. So Coco enters a relationship with wealthy English polo player Arthur Capel around the age of 20. She was originally involved with his friend first, but I'll get into more detail about that later when I have a little chapter about her affairs, so we'll talk about that later. Arthur is often referred to as her muse and her first real love. With Arthur's financial assistance in 1910, Coco opened up her millinery shop in Paris, which is a shop that manufactures and sells hats and other headwear of the sorts. She then expanded and opened up a boutique in Deauville, which is in the Normandy area, where she sold simple sportswear such as jersey sweaters and things like that. She created a dress out of a jersey on a chilly day in Normandy. The dress started becoming really popular in the area, and Coco offered to make dresses for those who asked where she got hers. She told her friend and author Paul Moran, "My fortune was built on that old jersey that I'd put on because it was a cold day in Deauville." End quote. When creating her designs and clothing, Coco was a strong believer that luxury must be comfortable or it's not luxury. Her designs commonly stress simplicity and comfort, later on revolutionizing the fashion industry, but we'll get to that in the next section. Let's talk about the iconic little black dress. Okay, so boom, every girlie must have a little black dress in their closet ready to go when needed. I'll let you know right now that the concept of the little black dress that has grown into the staple today all started in 1926. Prior to the 1920s, the color black was typically reserved for morning or more formal wear. Coco proved that the color black could be chic enough for evening wear. She showed that the dress could be transformed from a cute daytime look to a chic evening wear look depending on the jewelry that you paired with it. It was praised then, just as it is today, for its simplicity and mass appeal. American Vogue even referred to her as the Ford of fashion, referencing Henry Ford, the creator of the revolutionary Model T car. This was a really big deal. Then we have Chanel number 5. I just want to squeeze in a quote that Coco said, "A woman who doesn't wear perfume has no future." I just really like that quote. With the arrival of Chanel number 5 also came the well-known iconic Chanel design logo, so it's pretty famous for more reasons than one. Coco developed the widely popular perfume in 1921 with the help of talented perfume creator Ernest Beau. She chose the 5th sample of a series of scents created by Beau. Some have also noted that Coco was pretty superstitious and the number 5 was her lucky number. The fragrance was at one point considered the financial basis of her company, which then became an empire. So she now has the little black dress and Chanel number 5, among other things, under her belt. So she's doing pretty good, to say the least. So I'm going to assume that some of you clicked on this video because you've heard about Coco's Nazi ties. If you haven't, well, surprise! She had ties to the Nazi regime. How lovely. Woo. Yeah. So Chanel's company history and the interwar period followed by World War II are also pretty interwoven. So let's break it down. I will also mention that Chanel is not the only famous company with this type of history, but that's a conversation for another video. So she was living at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Chanel number 5 and the little black dress were performing phenomenally, but with the economic depression, everything else wasn't performing like the perfume and the dress were. When the war officially broke out, she had no choice but to close down her shops and fire a whole bunch of employees. The Ritz Hotel had then become the Nazi headquarters in France, and she was given permission to continue residing there. During this time, she was in a relationship with Hans Gunther von Dinklage, who, in my opinion, was a pretty significant relationship in her life. I mean, although she's had a lot of significant relationships, this one was a big one. Hans was a Gestapo and a German diplomat. He lived in the hotel with her until 1944 when he left for Switzerland, but I am jumping ahead, so hold on. Coco's involvement with the Nazis is heavily argued. There are a lot of rumors out there and unverified stories, so I'm letting you know now that the information I'm about to give you has been explained on numerous sources and exposed by the French government themselves. Okay, so a couple verified instances of Coco's involvement with the Nazis. The first one starts, she took a trip to Madrid with German intelligence agents in 1941. This part of the story can't be particularly confirmed, but we're pretty sure she was sent to secure the release of her beloved nephew, who was a prisoner of war in a German detention camp. Soon after her trip with the agents to Madrid, all of a sudden her nephew's released. So it's, you put 2 and 2 together. There was also Operation Model Hut. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. It's Model Hat in English. So a rogue Nazi general ignored Hitler and enlisted Coco in traveling to Madrid to speak with her friend, who you might have heard of, Winston Churchill. The hope was to negotiate some sort of peace between England and Germany, which was extremely unsuccessful. Also, quick pause, Spain commonly comes up in these stories because it was a meeting ground, since while Spain was declared neutral during the war, they were politically aligned with Nazi Germany. Anyways, back to the story. Her code name was Westminster because of her connections with Britain and her decade-long affair with the Duke of Westminster, which again, I'm so excited for the chapter about her relationships later on in the video. But I do want to mention that there are documented instances of her anti-Semitism as well as her support for Nazi policies in general. There is one particular story that is important to tell because the parties involved do come up later again. The Wertheimer family, I really hope I'm pronouncing that right. I tried to Google to see if that's how you say it, and that's how they pronounced it on Google. The Wertheimer family owned a large stake in the company, particularly during the rise of Chanel No. 5. There was a point in time when Coco tried to gain ownership of her fragrance but was unsuccessful. So to gain full control of her company, she argued, among other things, that their Jewish status made them invalid to be business owners, and being that she was of Aryan descent, she deserved full control. This was unsuccessful, however, because when the Wertheimers realized that the Jews were in danger at the start of the war, they had already given up their ownership percentage, and they gave it to non-Jews, and then they fled the country. Coco didn't know about any of that. So that was all for nothing. When the war was coming to an end in 1944, Coco was arrested and questioned about her involvement with the Nazis, but she was never charged and later released. There is no documented proof. To be honest, I don't even think there would be documented proof of what I'm going to say, but she often credited her release to her friendship with Churchill, stating, quote, "Churchill freed me." But again, those are those types of things where it's like, if you know people, they pull some strings for you. She got extremely lucky because there was what they called horizontal collaborators, if you catch my drift. And in my opinion, she could have easily been considered a horizontal collaborator, especially with her relationship with Hans. And women who were accused of that would have their head shaved as punishment. These stories I've told you of Coco's involvement with the Nazis have been proven. Everything else you may hear, take it with a grain of salt because its validity has been argued. So, after the war, she moved to Switzerland with her man, Hans, and lived there for about a decade. She eventually moves on from the relationship, and we're in the 1950s now, when she decides to make a comeback to the fashion world. The fashion world was being dominated by Christian Dior, who I might add also had involvement with the war. Coco was now in her 70s, and her initial return was met with scathing reviews, although it was pretty popular in the US. In 1954, she debuted the highly recognizable collarless tweed jacket, which helped Chanel reclaim her position as one of fashion's most influential designers. She died January 10th, 1971 at 87 years old in her Ritz apartment, and her nephew, who she rescued during the war, inherited her estates. Affairs and relationships. Coco once said, quote, "I never wanted to weigh more heavily on a man than a bird," end quote. And she definitely was not lying. You know I was excited for this chapter, so let's talk about it. She was never married herself, but was commonly the mistress or the other woman. It started with wealthy textile heir Etienne Balsan. Their affair ended because, well, she started shacking up with his friend Arthur Capel, an even wealthier aristocrat. Balsan financially helped her start the original business, and Capel financed the expansion. Then she had an affair with the second Duke of Westminster, whose name was Hugh. Hugh connected Coco with Winston Churchill. Chanel and Churchill would holiday together with the Duke at his Scottish homes, so now you can better understand how she had a really strong relationship with Britain. Then we have Hans von Dinklage, her lover during the war. Remember, he lived with her during the war, and after the war, she followed him to Switzerland, where they lived for a decade.
And those are her notable affairs. I'm pretty sure there are others, but they're just not as impactful to the story.
Whew. Okay, Coco Chanel's life story was a lot. Some company owners managed to completely separate their personal lives from their business. And while that was not the case with Coco, there are still some Chanel moments that will help you understand why this company is so influential and how it reached its legendary status today that I want to go over. So, Chanel is the fourth oldest surviving haute couture brand. It's kind of hard for me to say with my American accent. Haute couture. Okay. The first was Hermes in 1837. Then we have Louis Vuitton in 1854. Then there was Lanvin in 1854 as well. They just came after Louis Vuitton. and Chanel in 1910. Again, it started as a millinery, and in 1913 it expanded to sportswear. In 1918, she opened up a boutique in Paris, a location that remains the headquarters today, actually. The interwar period was very successful for the company with the debut of Chanel No. 5 and the little black dress. But again, as I mentioned before, when war broke out, she did have to close her business, and many people lost their jobs. Let's fast forward to 1952, when Marilyn Monroe told Life magazine, "The only thing I wear to bed is Chanel No. 5 and a smile." Okay, girl. This caused sales to blow through the roof. This was a clear pathway for Coco and her Chanel brand to get back into the spotlight and revamp her tattered image from the war and that brief little hiatus she took. She reached out to the Wertheimer family for financial help in reopening her business. Do you remember them? That was the family that I mentioned that she tried to use her Aryan race status to remove their ownership from the company. Oddly enough, they agreed to help her financially, but there was a stipulation. The condition was that upon her death, the family would gain control of her name for both couture and perfume. They still have ownership of the company to this day. So, hey, in the end, they kind of won. The company was cemented in history when the world watched Jackie Kennedy witness her husband's assassination in a blood-stained black and pink tweed Chanel suit. Jackie had refused to change her clothes, so most photographs you'll see during that time and during that day, she's still wearing that suit. I believe it is somewhere in an archive, and it was written somewhere in her estate that it cannot be open to or revealed to the public for another 150 years, but you can verify that on your own time, so don't quote me on that. Back to ownership. Pierre Wertheimer died in 1963, and his son Jacques took over his father's business interests. The house floundered a bit until Alain Wertheimer, Pierre's grandson, took over. Under his leadership, the Karl Lagerfeld was hired to design couture, which he did from 1983 to 2019. Now, many claim that there was a lot to complain about when it came to Karl, but no doubt he revived Chanel after it went through a bit of a dry spell. He even outdid Coco herself in brand recognition, sales, and press attention. Karl worked up until the day he passed in 2019 of pancreatic cancer, and then the design leadership went to Virginie Viard, who spent 30 years working her way up the company. She was one of the few female creative directors in haute couture. Virginie got the company through the COVID years and brought in close to $20 billion in 2023, achieving a 16% hike in sales. Okay, this story was a long one because Chanel is an iconic company and Coco lived such a wild life, deeply entwined in world history. So there was just a lot to cover. But if you made it to the end, I truly appreciate you for sticking around. I'll see you for the next installment of Brand History, I hope. So yeah, peace out, Girl Scout.